This is John Bailey, the epic voice of Honest Trailers, and you're listening to the Fiveish Fangirls podcast. It's a Fangirls podcast with five-ish people. The tangents and squee will continue. Squee.
The tangents as we continue all the way to episode 488 of the Fiveish Fangirls podcast. And this episode of Bluey is called Fangirls, and it's probably going to be pretty wackadoo. Welcome everyone to this week's episode of the Fiveish Fangirls podcast. So glad you joined us. Let's start off like a direct with a virtual table and see who joined us this week.
This is Whitney in Bangor.
This is Chrissy in Salt Lake City.
This is Holly from Wisconsin.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
It's cold.
Yeah.
Yes.
I could have easily changed my intro to Holly from Hoff.
Mhm.
It has, I don't think we've had quite the temperatures you have had, but we've had some crazy winter weather the last
Mhm.
few days. So I hope everyone is staying warm, staying safe. Drive like your grandma is holding a crock pot full of gravy and she's wearing her brand new white dress in the backseat.
Mhm.
Exactly. Yes. Uh-huh.
Pretty much.
Mhm.
Oh my. So, all right. Let's get on to the news. So we have the British equivalent of the Academy Awards occurred yesterday. The BAFTAs, hosted for what, like the second or third year in a row by David Tennant?
Mhm.
Becoming a regular. And
The
this,
internet pretty much broke when that dropped.
yeah, I mean, anytime David does something, the internet kind of breaks. So,
Not wrong.
yeah, no lies detected there.
No.
No. Although, as we've all decided in our award season chat, that Georgia is done with his shit. But
Yeah. Yeah. She's just like, really? Yes,
Yeah.
I married him, but
Yeah.
sweetie.
let's just say David's not really a song and dance man, but he does try.
Yes.
He
So,
did all right. He did all right. I think
Yeah.
I mean, it's a song by one of his favorite bands. So
exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So, but yeah. So we've got one more award ceremony. The SAG Awards are this coming Sunday as we're recording this, and then week after that is Oscar night. So we're getting close, but I think it's still kind of anybody's game. So I need to plug in the Critics' Choice Awards into the spreadsheet as well, but like it still seems to kind of be all over the place. Like, it's like Conclave won Best Film, but with the Critics' Choice, it went to Anora. Director is not necessarily matching up with the film, so. Although it seems like Adrian Brody seems to be on a bit of a tear when it comes to Best Actor.
Yeah.
For The Brutalist. Actress, it's all over the place again, kind of. I mean, in the technical categories, you can kind of see, production design, costume design. Yeah, you got things like Wicked walking away with it. So, but like, director seems to be all over the place. Documentary, they had different nominees. So the BAFTA winner for Best Documentary isn't even nominated in that category for the Oscars. So, of course, animated feature. This being the BAFTAs, of course, they're gonna give it to Wallace and Gromit, which is a British institution when it comes to animation. So. They have a bunch of categories that the Oscars don't, so some of them just don't match up. Like they have a casting category already. Obviously, the Oscars, we're going to be getting that next year. So, of course, they have some very British specific categories. British short film. They have a Rising Star Award. This was voted on by the public. Outstanding debut by a British writer, director, or producer. They give out a BAFTA fellowship, which this year went to Warwick Davis. So, yeah, I think at this point it's still anybody's game. Who's going to be walking away with those gold statues in less than 2 weeks? So, making our team picks is going to be fun. So, there is that. And yes, it is only February, but better late than never. So, Salt Lake FanX has already started making guest announcements.
Oh yeah, it's like
Mhm.
they do their early bird ticket sale, which is you can get your passes for super cheap, and then they announce guests because they just kind of figure, oh, you're gonna come regardless. So, the biggest name so far that I've seen, or the one that I'm most familiar with, is Jennifer Morrison. And
Yes.
remember the days of Once Upon a Time, and she's been in a lot. But Once Upon a Time, Emma
House.
Swan. Yeah, she was in
Captain
House.
Kirk's mom and one of the Star Trek movies. Yep.
2009. So yeah, so she's coming. And then there were some that I am getting old because some of these things I'm like, what is this? I don't know. I mean, I've heard of Hell of a Boss, but I haven't watched it. It's not really in my wheelhouse, but I'm sure people are going to be very excited to see those voice actors be there and other things. So yeah, so that's exciting. They're announcing their stuff and getting going, so that's exciting. I just said that anyway.
But
Here
this
we
is
are.
like that list is going to grow exponentially.
Oh yes. I mean the con isn't until September, so they have plenty of time to make some crazy big announcements.
Yes. Oh, and then big finish. You're killing me, Smalls. We've been waiting. But we are finally getting a brand new series of 12 audio adventures with Christopher Eccleston and Billy Piper.
Yes. That also broke the internet yesterday too.
Yes.
It's like, And of course, the funny thing is in one of the Facebook groups I'm a part of, I had posted and somebody else commented. They had posted it like an hour after I did. It's like, oops, I didn't see you had posted it. And it's all good. It's all right. More to double post in case you didn't miss it. In case you missed it the first time.
Yep. So that is going to be. Oh, it's probably going to be something good. I mean, it's Big Finish. It's going to be something good. So
yeah, and they've been hitting it out of the park these last few audio sets that have been coming out down the line.
Yeah. So yeah, it's going to be 12 episodes, fitting right because I mean Chris was only around for the one season, so the time frame for the Ninth Doctor and Rose is not very big. But we are going to have more Jackie, so we will see Jackie return. Plus enemies old and new. So those are available for pre-order. Both for download and download plus collector's edition CDs. The collector's edition CDs are strictly limited to 1,500 copies.
Yep.
And will not be repressed. So, and you could either do a order per story or you can do bundle. Do the bundle; it's gonna make more sense money wise if you could swing it. So,
yeah, it's actually cheaper in the living room to do that. Although it's it is a bit of a cost up front, but once it's paid, you're like done.
It's well worth it. Yeah.
Oh, thankfully you have time because the pre-order prices are discounted for 2025 and they're So there so there's that. So locked in for now until something changes. So
Yep.
but we're supposed to start getting the audios in August. So
That's exciting.
just in time for the 20th anniversary of Doctor Who coming back to TV.
Yep.
It's just
Wow.
I feel.
Yep.
Uh-huh. This is like it hasn't. Oh wait, yeah, I guess it has.
Yep.
It's like I wasn't watching
Time
Doctor Who
flies
at
when
the
you're having
time.
fun. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Still, 20 years since it came back. That's insane to think
Mhm.
about.
Yep.
Yep. Which means that some of y'all, if you jumped on the bandwagon when it first came back, congratulations, you've been Whovian for 20 years.
Yes. Well, and see, the thing is somebody. Well, in that time we had to wait or get it by alternative means because there was no such thing as day and date in good old 2005.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then like it they took like a year before it even came to America. Right?
Yes,
Something like that.
yeah, everything was off by a year, with I think the exception of David Tennant's last run, and that was on Sci-Fi Channel, and that was like I want to say like a week off, and I think for one of them I think they were able to do day and date, but then it was wacky. And then when BBC America actually showed British stuff, then
Yeah.
we had that.
See, I didn't jump on the bandwagon for set till 7 years after that. So, yeah. I didn't know any better.
Hey, you know,
I hit. I think it was like season three of Doctor Who, which was Tennant's second year. But then I quickly caught up.
Yep. So, whew, it's been a run.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's really all we've got for news. Got some feedback from Shalane. She said some of the trailers that also dropped during the Super Bowl, How to Train Your Dragon, the live action, obviously. It's definitely a shot for shot remake. There you go. She says kind of sad we didn't get a Wicked for Good part two trailer. Yeah, it's too soon. Some more movies hitting milestone anniversaries this year: Pinocchio and The Sorcerer's Apprentice. Should funny coincidence, Jurassic World introduced a new era of Jurassic Park 10 years ago, and now a decade later, we're getting another Jurassic World movie. Both films feature MCU alumni. Like, yep.
Mm-hmm.
There's also a Jurassic World Wicked Venn diagram crossover there too with Jeff Goldblum. Jeff Goldblum's just in everything.
Oh yes, yeah.
Oh, the Venn diagram, they all overlap, and Jeff Goldblum is just there in the middle. So
Yep. Forget the Kevin Bacon equation. We got Jeff Goldblum.
yeah. Of course, when Wicked Part 1 and Gladiator 2 released on the same day, of course they were different receptions. Obviously, Wicked was a big box office success. Gladiator 2 was more of a popcorn flick. Yep. Since Britney Spears' book is being adapted into a movie, I wonder if they'll include her time on the Mickey Mouse Club. I'm sure, just because
it will be mentioned.
there was a lot.
Yeah.
The number of people that went on to be famous besides her in that class of the Mickey Mouse Club, you can't really skip over it.
No, because I mean we had Christina, we had Justin, we had Brittany, we had a few others if memory serves correctly.
How many people
I think Ryan Gosling came from there too, I think.
I think you might be right. Yeah.
I mean, that's the same kind of thing with all the Disney Channel stars that went on to do other things. And yeah, it's just kind of the sort of the tradition, the springboard tradition continues.
Yeah,
right, exactly.
She says, and yes, I watched a video you sent me, Rachel. It was really interesting. Also, if you girls don't know, there's a documentary on Hulu about child stars. I'm planning to watch it. Yes, I need to put that up on higher on my list. Some more people deserve bios. Carrie Fisher and Debbie Reynolds. There's fictionalized.
Yeah. Postcards from the Edge.
If you want to watch Postcards from the Edge, it's historical fiction ish.
Yeah. Ish, yeah.
From a certain point of view.
Nicely done. Nicely done.
Yeah. Really just everyone from Star Wars. Harrison Ford, James Earl Jones, Mark Hamill, she also mentioned Julie Andrews, and of course people like Howard Ashman and Alan Bacon. I mean, it
There's
is
a documentary about Howard.
Yes, that is true. So,
But different.
yes, they have done several. There are several documentaries out there about some of the Disney legends that aren't necessarily like, the people like the movie stars, but people like the Sherman Brothers and some of Walt's 9 Old Men and that sort of thing. A lot of those can be found on Disney Plus. Imagine that. No.
Strange how that happens.
But, it wasn't in the video that I sent Shalane and then I sent to you guys. But I just saw a trailer the other day that's sort of a biopic, but it's like from the perspective of like his pseudo adopted father, kind of, about Richard Burton.
Interesting.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't really know a whole lot about Richard Burton other than his relationship with Elizabeth Taylor, so.
Yeah, I was gonna say that seems to be.
Apparently, his backstory is quite interesting. He's very much, I guess, came from like a more blue collar background and somehow worked his way up into being, like a very well known celebrity of his era.
That's how it used to happen.
Yep.
Back in the day, so a lot of those early stars who came along, and now it's very different, but continually changes. But anyway, thanks for the feedback.
Yep.
Appreciate that, of course. Yep. And so I think we're
going to apologize up front for any terrible Dick Van Dyke-esque attempps at Australian accents.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Going forward.
Yes. Going forward, yes.
Mine are going to be, it's just a thing. So I requested we discuss this topic because I could actually be here today since it's a holiday in the States here. But B, my family has just completely and utterly fallen in love with Bluey, as many families with young children, and even those
without,
and even those who do not have kids have discovered this.
I know Zan is a really big fan of Bluey.
Yes.
And she's almost 50 years old. So
and those who have fur-footed children can kind of relate with some of the antics that are going on in said cartoons.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk about this because I've wanted to for a while, and also it was homework I could do with my daughter, but I put together a list of my favorite Bluey episodes for the ladies here to say. I was like, they're all really short. They're like 7-8 minutes long, but I was like, I recommend watch the whole thing because it's just it's a balm to your soul. But if you only have a certain amount of time, here are the ones I would love to watch. And Lottie, when we're watching it, she's like, I want to watch this episode. I want to watch this episode. This one. And I'm like,
we can put the list in the show notes.
Yeah, we'll put the list in the show notes. It's not in any particular order. It's definitely not in the order of or what it's listed on Disney Plus and like seasons. So if you're not familiar with it, I'm sorry. You might have to do a little searching, but honestly, you cannot go wrong if you just pick an episode at random. You're gonna have a good time.
And all 3 seasons are on Disney Plus.
Yes,
for us in America. So.
And the cool thing with the minisodes in Disney Plus, they have them separate. But then if you scroll down a bit, they have compilation 1.
Yes.
Then scroll down a bit, compilation 2. Scroll down a bit, and compilation 3. I'm like, I'm just gonna watch the compilations.
Yeah. You just watch the compilations. Or if you're my family, we watch everything from the beginning, and we get to the compilations, we watch all of those.
Because there's rewatch value. There's rewatch value.
I ain't even mad, not in the least.
Nope.
It is. I mean, it's okay. Everybody.
It's dollary dues well spent.
Exactly. You know, when you talk about shows for little kids, there are the ones that you just put them on to, you know, get your kids to be quiet for an hour or two, and maybe once in a while you peek in and you're like, "What the hell?" Never mind, walk away.
Right? Yeah, that's that I know.
And we, you know, we actually started out watching Peppa Pig, oddly enough.
Okay.
Which we have Peppa to thank.
Yes. What? Yes, because that's where the inspiration in part came from.
Yeah, they would guy else
Joe.
Joe. Yeah, he saw how popular Peppa Pig was, and Peppa Pig is a British cartoon.
Yes.
And he's like, I want to make something like that that's purely Australian. And he got this Australian cattle dog, and who he named Bluey, and he's all like, well, you know, I love my dog and I know my dog really well, so yeah, it's a good place to start. So
yeah. And that one had my heart immediately, because my dog, when the first dog I ever had growing up was an Australian Shepherd Blue Heeler mix named Shep. He was my baby, and we got him when I was 3, and he was our farm dog, and I love him. I miss him terribly, and just the fact that it's like they're Blue Heelers, I'm just like, oh gosh, here we are. But I mean, like, and then there's like from time to time you forget that they're dogs,
right?
Just the things that they talk about, the things that they deal with, and it's stuff that kids, like, it's at a level that kids relate to, like the lessons that are spelled out. Like, I'll bring up the one in Dance Mode, which is a very, very well regarded, very popular episode, because it's this fun, silly thing, like, oh, we're gonna put the parents in dance mode, and they gotta dance in the middle of the street and embarrass themselves. Well, then at the end, you realize that, you know, everyone's taken Bingo's dance modes for her parents, because, like, Bluey took one, Chili took one, Bandit bribed her not to do it, but it's all been everybody, like, jumping in and saying, oh, Bingo, can I take one? Can I take one? And she just kind of lets them mow her over until Chili realizes, oh no, like, what's wrong, Bingo? And they finally ask her what she wants, and they so, like, that's the lesson spelled out for, you know, little kids to understand. You know, sometimes your inside voice really means no. So how do we deal with this? And then it ends with, she takes him out to where the street musician is playing the little, with the thongs, flip flops in the States, playing the music, and they're dancing in front of everybody, and Bandit's all, I'm doing this for my kid.
Yep.
Because that's and it's great. So it's like, there is a lesson. It doesn't smack you over the head with it, and it's something everyone can relate to.
Morning, Wendy. Do you know I like to smack my bum as hard as I can? Ooh, ow, ooh, ow, ooh, ow, ow.
And then there are the lessons that are a little more subtle. And like, I'll bring up this one. Another episode I put on the list is Army, which deals with a little Jack Russell Terrier named Jack Russell, because he's private. And it is implied that he maybe has ADHD or autism. It's never spelled out. And, you know, he's just like, his little sister's like, why can't you do as you're told? Like, he fidgets, he can't sit still, he can't focus, he gets distracted easily. And then he makes a friend, which is Rusty, the red Kelpie, who originally was going to be the star of the show, but, or, you know, or like being Bluey's cousin, which they changed that, but he's still in the show. He's like in Bluey's class at school. And they like go out on this. So Rusty makes friends with Jack, and they go on this patrol as if they're in the army, because Rusty's dad is in the army. So these are things that he knows, and all these things he has Jack do. Like be a sentry, like, so he's got to watch out and pay attention what's going on. He's got to follow directions. He's got to do all these things, and he actually does them. Even though at the beginning of the episode he wasn't minding, he wasn't doing what his dad asked him to do. He'd forgotten things, but putting it in that context of pretending and playing, he could actually do them because it was this friend of his was kind of doing it. And then it's really cute at the end. You see Rusty's dad come home from the army, and he comes to pick him up from school, and it's just like, oh, my heart. So that one is a little more subtle, but you can still pick it up. And then there are some other ones, which I'm sure we'll get into, that are a little more deep and like more serious, that kids really wouldn't pick up on it, but a lot of adults really have.
Yes.
Over the
Yeah.
years.
It's like, it's because I mean the episodes are really short. I mean, once you take out like the opening credits and the closing credits, you've got maybe 4 to 5 minutes of actual cartoon.
Yeah. Which amazes me how much they pack into those episodes.
Yes.
And how
There's
well written they
so-
are.
So much. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
'Cause
even
they-
the ones that were just plain instrumental, those were awesome.
Oh yeah, Rain and
Yes.
Sleepy Time. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I want to gush about Sleepy Time, but I'll do that in a moment.
Yeah.
Let you guys have your what you thought.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because they wanted it to be something that any of the kids watch, and especially young kids. You're talking preschoolers, for probably their core demographic, but so they're short. It's the color palette is very eye-catching, without being too overwhelming. But the characters are distinct enough that you can tell them apart, even when they're like, when like the kids are similarly colored to their parents. You can still tell them apart. They do change up the animation style every now and then if the story requires it, but for the most part, it's the animation, the style that I think most people would recognize, if you're familiar with it. So, but the episodes are short enough that little kids, they got short attention spans. So this tells them a story that may or may not have some sort of moral or teaching element to it, but it's not on the nose, unlike something like a Sesame Street, where they're trying to teach you how to count or learn your ABCs or stuff like that, and it's not so on the nose either for things like some of the cartoons that are maybe for slightly older kids whose attention spans are a little longer, so like Arthur or something like that. I'm just thinking like PBS.
Right.
If this was an American show, this would be on PBS, or very something similar to it.
It would be a lot more ham-handed too, because even some of the shows like that I remember growing up with, everyone just had to stop and like, okay, we're gonna tell the lesson of the day. And
right.
The narrative would just slow to a crawl.
And this doesn't. Bluey doesn't do that, because at that age, Bluey, she's 6/7, depending on how far you are into the season. Bingo is 2 years younger, so about 4 or 5, again, depending on where you are. And you could tell them like something like a moral or something till you're blue in the face. It doesn't matter. It's going to go in one ear and out the other. It's the Bluey and Bingo and their friends, they're learning all of these things through experience, and even if they don't have the vocabulary of what exactly it is they're learning, they're gonna have, because there's so much focus on them playing with each other, playing with their friends, playing with their parents. Those are creating core memories that they're going to draw upon as they get older. And once they have the vocabulary, they can be like, oh, that one time where it was an episode where what was it with the magic keyboard or whatever, and Blue wanted to keep playing with it and she wouldn't let Bingo have her turn.
Oh yeah.
It's like, later down the line they'll be like, oh, because at that age you're like, you need to share.
Yeah.
And as a sibling, you're like, you reluctantly do it, but then you realize later it's like, oh, by not sharing, I was hurting my siblings' feelings. I was making them feel left out, like they weren't important. But they're not going to have that vocabulary then, but they will down the line.
Oh yeah, love. Fix your doodad. Oh, the doodad. Yeah, love, you need a new doodad. Okay, a new doodad. It's this doodad. Oh, right, a new doodad. Yeah, love.
Yeah, it's less about, here, let me spell out the lesson for you, and it's more, how do you feel when you share toys, when you include your baby cousin, when you, like when Muffin, I love Muffin, by the way. Muffin,
yes.
Muffin is my favorite. Everyone's got their favorites. I adore Muffin. It's like, when Muffin is learning how to play, and is she more special than other kids?
Right.
But
the library episode.
The library episode, and then later you see because I didn't put as many episodes with her little sister Socks, because Socks, she starts out as, she's very much like a toddler, so she is still walking on all fours.
Socks is feral there at the beginning.
Yes, Socks is feral.
When they're having the backyard barbecue, and granted, Bingo is the one that keeps knocking the drink out, like her dad's hands and stuff. Then when they realize it, because they're playing pretend barbecue while the adults are having actual barbecue cooking stuff, and they'd be like, we need red peppers, and then Socks would be like, peppers.
Yeah, but by the end, Sock, like you will see Muffin helping Socks get buckled into the car. She'll help her with her popsicle, to hold her popsicle up so she can eat it. Just all these little things. Like, Muffin is a very good big sister. She's just so you see, but it takes her a while to get there, and you see these little lessons just as if you watch the episodes in order throughout, with you just kind of see these little character moments, and again, it's subtle. It's because that's how kids are. Like, they don't learn things all at once, but all of a sudden one day this kid is doing what you've been trying to teach him what to do, and you're like, oh my gosh, you did it, and you all are happy.
Isn't anyone going to mention the salads?
And very proud of your little ones. And like, oh, Muffin, you're learning. You good girl.
The Granny Mobile was cute.
Oh, I love Granny Mobile. I just die every time, because I have seen Muffin be selfish, and I have seen her be fussy and cry about getting her own way, and here she is playing a game and helping Bluey and Bingo's older neighbor Doreen, and she's just cussing out this grouchy granny. I love the granny.
She out-grouched the grouchy granny. I was like, oh, this is so perfect. Sucks. You
$1,200 and 18 lollies.
Yes.
I'm like,
oh,
Muffin, you glorious little scamp. I love you.
Yes.
She just wants to play with
you. You did Doreen a big solid.
Oh, yes. And then, Doreen is like, Muffin, you can have anything you want. She's having a yard sale.
Yeah.
All she wants is a tea towel so she can be super good.
Yep.
Great. Oh, man. Oh.
He's a simple creature, really.
And they put they make it so that, you can have it, and it's something that, if you're a parent that don't mind their kid having some screen time, this is, it's a show you could turn on and they're engaged watching it while you're doing whatever, loading the dishwasher or something. But if you sit down and watch it with a too,
Yeah.
there's stuff there for the parents to take away from. It's not just always Bluey and the other kids her age learning a lesson. Sometimes it's the parents.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. There are. Well, there are so many. The one that I guess this is maybe not just one episode, but it's sort of several scenes in a bunch of different episodes. Is kind of the character arc of Bandit, because Bandit, he is like dad of the freaking century. We know him, we love him. He's
okay. Bandit
Yes.
has literally won an award for Father of the Year that normally goes to actual real life people.
Dad's not here, which is a shame, because he's such a handsome fellow with big, strong muscles.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, he did. That is a thing that happened.
Yes.
Yes. And and what I love is like there's the episode Fairy Tale where it's a flashback to when he was a kid, and like you've seen him with his brother Stripe. You've seen him, kind of pick on Stripe even as adults, because there's an episode Squash where they are playing, and he's like, big brothers always beat little brothers. And so I'm like, well, that's not very nice. And then I realized, no, Bandit's not the big brother because Rattly's older than Bandit. Bandit is the shitty little middle child.
Can I help you? I wish you could, mate.
And I'm sorry if you're middle children out there, you're all kind of a pain in the ass. I'm sorry, but you are. So
I wouldn't know. I'm the oldest child.
Bandit.
I'm the only child, so I'm kind of all three.
Or Stripe sometimes, but I love how Rad in that episode, he's in Fairy Tale, he's the one that curses Bandit with the thing, with the the jinx, which is great. But then I realized, then like I'm looking at this and I'm like, oh my gosh, Bandit's a middle child. This makes so much sense. Why he was just kind of that way, but I still love him. It's like he got better.
Yeah, he did.
And Chili loves him, which is good. And they're really sweet together.
But Mum says you can't eat sauerkraut. Yeah, it makes you barf.
I know, but it's so good.
Well, if you, again, these are things that if you're an adult, you pay attention to.
Yes, you do.
In the episode, the show, when the girls for Mother's Day are trying to like put on a little stage performance of their parents and how they met and got married, and they don't. These episodes are short. They don't go into too much detail, but apparently Bandit and Chili met at a wild, raucous party in London.
There is some dispute on how they really first married, or how they first met.
Yes,
that's what I meant.
Because there was also
and the show acknowledges
it with Chili kind of dressed up as the dog version of She-Ra.
Yes, it was the 80s.
From the trailer.
It was a wild time.
Yeah.
It depends on who you ask on the story.
Right, yeah.
Very much on who you ask. But yes, they could have. Well, Chili remembers meeting him at the wild party in London, and there's really no context of like, well, what were they doing and what were they both doing in London? Was it like for something for school? Because you do realize Bandit he's a doctor of archaeology. That's his job. And so he could have been studying in London. Chili, who knows? We don't. There's not really any context for that. But it's funny. It's cute, and fans are always trying to like, well, maybe this is what this means, and maybe you know how fans are with their theories, and like, what if this means this and that means that? And you know what? We're just having fun with it, for sure.
Oh, this all looks in order then.
Some of it has been confirmed.
Oh yeah, some of it has been confirmed. Like you were talking about the show, and because there was a bit where like the girls are putting on the show of Bandit and Chili, and there's a bit where like after Bandit and Chili in the show are married, and And Bingo comes out and she's got a balloon under her tummy, under her shirt to signify, oh, Chili's gonna have a baby, but then the balloon pops.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's like a little the camera the scene goes back to Bandit and Chili sitting together, and Bandit like reaches out and grabs Chili's hand, like it's sort of a serious moment. And then Bingo gets upset and runs off because she thinks she's messed up the show, but that's not it at all. And the creators have come out and said that Chili had a miscarriage.
Oh, okay.
Likely the pregnancy before Bluey.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is in Baby Race, I don't want to say it completely explains like her, because that's just first time parents. Like you are calling the doctor about everything because you're like, what about this? What about this? What is my kid doing? You're like, oh, it's normal. But there is some of that. Like I got to do everything perfect because because it feels like this is your one chance, and because whatever has happened. And they don't dwell on it, but it's just sort of a moment of like, oh my gosh, this kid's show, which is also found, resonated with a lot of adults, is dealing with adult things, but not at the expense of the kid side of the show. So it's kind of like, it's like, how can you have like ways to deal with certain things, ways to deal with grief, ways to deal with loss, ways to deal with, I don't know if you watched the episode Onesies, because that one it's implied that Chili's sister Brandy cannot have children or has a hard time getting pregnant. And again, explained in a way that kids understand, but in a way that kind of helps adults work through those really heavy situations. And it's like, it doesn't solve your problem. It doesn't spell out a lesson, like I've said, but it's sort of like, hey, these are things that are hard to deal with, and someone gets that. And that we don't have a solution. There's no easy fix, but it's recognizing those things are hard. Those things are tough. And that even adults who, like, if this was just a flat out kids show, the adults would have all the answers. The adults would know what to do with everything. They would be the all-knowing, omnipotent, whatever. This show specifically acknowledges that adults don't have all the answers.
No.
Nope.
This is terrific.
But your parents,
especially with the ending.
Yes.
It's just like the mom was just like, adventure, even though mom did not want to move.
No.
Chili did not want to move.
Sign. Oh my gosh. Well, and like you also like with the sign, and then going back to also double babysitter Frisky.
Yep.
Even because she's trying to. Frisky is Bluey's godmother. She and Rad are babysitting, and Bluey's like, how do I know that I'm not going to have another bad babysitter put down? And Frisky's like, you can't know, but it doesn't mean you stop trying. And then you go to the sign, and it's basically, the original title of that episode was supposed to be "We'll See," referring to that story that Calypso, the teacher, tells them at the beginning about the farmer who, and it's a classic folk tale from, I want to say it's a Chinese folk tale, that all these things happen, and then the neighbors say, oh, that's good luck or that's bad luck, and the farmer just says, oh, we'll see. And that's the lesson, that we'll see. We don't know if it's going to be good. We don't know if it's going to be bad. We'll see. And it's like, this is deep stuff for a kid's show, and maybe kids don't get it right away, but there's something in there that they do understand because they see Bluey understand it, or they see it kind of like click with the kids.
It's just so darn cute. So
Stacy Talk was the first one that I watched, and oh my gosh, that was just so hilarious. Like,
that is another one.
Yep.
That is another
technology.
One. And the chaos of it all, and like the kids see one thing, but the adults are. We have watched that one so many times. Alex loves it. Like he gets so excited when Muffin's running around, running. And Bluey and Bingo are just standing there like so helpless. Like, what do we do?
It's like, should we be helping Muffin or should we be helping Muffin? Because they help him for a little bit, but then it's just like, maybe that's not such a good idea.
He meant to be in time.
I'm out.
Yeah. And I sometimes when I watch that episode, because I've seen it so many times, I just kind of watch Socks in the middle of the side because she's playing, because in her screen
She's just happily doodling away.
doodling away, and just her sister is just, she's like, that's Muffin. I'm gonna be here do my thing. And then at the end, Bluey's like, oh, Socks, that looks so good. She looks at her picture. Oh, look, Socks, that's so great. Thanks, Bluey. Mm-hmm. And then it's Bingo's turn. Yeah. And we know what happens when you hog.
Oh. No.
Oh, the muffin cone was cute.
Yes.
Yeah,
Speaking of muffin. Shame, yes. And I loved how they turned it, Bluey and Bingo changed the cone down so she could be a bride or a traffic cone, and they kind of made it less shameful. It's like, okay, well, we're trying to help you, but this way it's a little bit better, so at least you can still play.
Yeah. And then when she comes back to play with them, she's like sucking her thumb on purpose so she can wear the cone.
Yeah.
But I love that because it's like, there's kids who maybe they can't do the same things that other kids can do, which, for whatever reason. But it's like, here, kids, how can you adapt your play, adapt your games to what you're doing? Oh, speaking of, I thought I locked the door. I'm talking to my friends about Bluey.
You're my baby. Baby want milky treats? Ah!
Do you want to say hello?
Hi.
Hi.
What's your favorite Bluey episode, sweetie?
My favorite Bluey episode is
I put her on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you like dance mode, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you like about dance mode?
About the ending.
You like the ending? Why? What do you like the ending?
Because I do.
Because you do. Okay. That is. You like.
That's as good as reason as any.
Who says any? Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, she loves the music. I've got the song on my phone, and we listen to it a lot in the car.
I mean, the music, people enjoy the music so much that they ended up creating a whole album on vinyl.
Yes. That exists.
People wanted it.
So I'm gonna gush about Sleepy Time because speaking of music.
Oh yeah.
Okay, this one, and there's like a really gorgeous picture book out of Sleepy Time, which I have not bought yet, but I see it at Walmart from time to time. I'm like, oh, I want it. So Sleepy Time is mostly music. It's the Holtz Planets Symphony. Mostly Jupiter is the music they use the most. Mm. And like the first time I saw it, we were like, this was sort of what we were in our early Bluey phase with the kids. And we were on Disney Plus, and it was one night. Jared had to work late. Alex, I don't know what he was doing. But Lottie was sitting on my lap, and we were watching it on the computer. We had Disney Plus sitting there, and it's bedtime. So I'm like, oh, this one says Sleepy Time. Let's watch this, and maybe you'll get sleepy. I had never seen it before. I'm sitting there watching it. Lottie is sitting there with me, and we see this whole thing. Like Bingo's in her dream, like floating around the solar system, and there's the silliness of them running on Jupiter, and it's really banded, and Bingo gets him in the biscuits when she jumps into the red spot, and then her bunny, her floppy bunny, goes to Saturn, and then that's the end where she's like in front of the sun, and it's speaking to her in her mom's voice, and like the music is swelling, and I'm like, oh, this is so sweet, and then all of a sudden Lottie just bursts into tears. While we're watching, I'm like, Lottie, what's wrong? And I realized Bingo has a pink bunny, a pink floppy bunny. Lottie has a pink bunny.
Aww.
Lottie is the little sister. Now obviously she has an older brother, not an older sister. But there's just all these things, and she's sitting there, she's like, I just love my mommy.
Aww.
And I'm just sitting there like, I'm not gonna cry. So I just like gave her a big hug, and it's like, do you want to watch it again? She's like, yes. And I made Jared when he got home like, you need to watch this episode. So I sat him down and he watched it. He's like, oh yeah, that's pretty good. Mm-hmm. So that's another favorite, and that one is just like the music and the animation, which again, the animation is a certain style, and they stick with that style for the most part. There are some episodes that get a little more experimental, and that's fine. But just the animation and the way that they like do all the planets and all the things to fit with this style, it's just, I don't know. It's like there's something about it that is just lovely, just honestly very lovely with it. And it's, again, it's like it's not meant to be like a science lesson or anything like that. It's just like, Chili, or Bingo's mom is the center of her universe, even though she has to go sometimes because she's a big girl, but she's not completely, and her mom still looks out for her because Chili walks back to bed and says, "Oh, mustn't forget Floppy," and she found Floppy for her, and I'm like, okay, we need I need some tissues here, folks. It's just good. It is just good.
Who's chopping the onions?
Yes, exactly.
Well, and then from tears of, it being sweet to tears of laughter, Omelet was just, that had me in stitches.
Yes.
With Bingo wanting to help and Chili knowing this isn't gonna work, but
this is going to end poorly.
But still, and then Bluey just like, Dad, no, back away. Bingo and Mom are doing this.
Yep. And just how many eggs they go through.
Oh, I know. It was just like, whoo, boy.
That was another one. After we saw that episode, Lottie is like, "Mom, I want to help you make pancakes because I make pancakes." Can I crack the eggs? Can I stir it up? And I'm like, "Here, I will measure the ingredients.
Yes.
And I will let her stir it up. But once I have to put them on the griddle, she's like, you got to go because it's hot." But yes, after that episode, after we watched that one, she's like, "I want to help. I want to be a big girl." I'm like, "Okay, I'm going to let you help." And yes, it can be a mess. Yes, it can take a lot longer than it needs to. But guess what? It's practice. And she's
and the memories that you're making.
Yes, exactly.
Like, guess what? Messes can be cleaned up.
That is true.
Yes.
That is true. I don't care if it's eggs or orange juice or whatever it is. We can clean up the mess.
That's so funny. It reminds me of a story from friends of they're friends of Chauncey's first, and then of course, once I came into the picture, I became friends with them. And it's the parents of one of his friends, of course, with Chauncey's group. He's not just friends with his friends, he's also friends with their parents and like their grandparents and their extended family. But anyway, the grandparents were watching their grandkids, and the night before, the older sibling, who was like 6 or 7, I think, at the time. So, the grandma just tucked her into bed, and she's like, "Hey, you want to help Grandma make pancakes in the morning?" And she's like, "Yeah, absolutely." Then she goes to bed, and then she gets up the next morning and comes out of the kitchen, and Grandpa's all like, "Hey, you want to help Grandpa make a cake today?" And of course, she'd already agreed to help Grandma make pancakes the night before, so she's looked at her grandparents in exasperated tone. She's like, "I'm just a little girl. Like, I can't do both.
I don't want to make this decision.
Yeah.
Why'd you put me in this position?
What are we doing, man?
How dare you make me decide?
I want to do both."
I do.
It's just so funny. This little kids. I'll tell you what, they may be a cartoon family, but I don't have kids. I have no desire to have kids, but that's okay. Watching this is just like, a lot of that is very accurate to the way kids are, from what I observed. But also, I'm kind of jealous of Bluey and her sister, because they've got some really, really good parents.
Parents.
Oh,
Yep.
Yeah,
okay.
and according to what the show, the showrunner and other people who work on the show have said, from what they've heard from fans, is they've got parents who watch with their kids, and it makes them want to be better parents.
Yeah,
And that's cool.
absolutely.
That
Like
is cool.
I look at it, and like I said, Chili and Bandit are amazing parents. I love them. I'm like, I aspire to be like them, and I know I'm like not anywhere close.
But can I redo my childhood and have them as parents?
Seriously, but it's like they also have their moments where they make massive mistakes.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
I mean, Bandit trying to bribe Bingo's last dance mode off of her
Mm-hmm.
is like it's acknowledging your parents aren't perfect. They are gonna make mistakes. They're gonna do dumb things. But there is no question in anyone's mind how much Chili and Bandit love their kids. And same with some of the other parents, like Stripe and Trixie, even though, like, in
Yep.
Facey talk, Stripe is like kind of, I don't know. He tries. Bless him, he
Yeah.
tries.
Mm-hmm.
But he's like, I want to do the parenting. I want to, help out. And they kind of have a little mini squabble about it while Muffet is having her tantrum. But then it's like in the background after they mute the thing, because Bandit's standing there with Bingo and Bluey, like, this is kind of awkward to have to listen to this over the facey talk thing. But you can see like how Stripe and Trixie are talking it out, and they, figure it out, make amends with each other, and then they team up and like, okay, we've got to deal with our child who's having a moment, and she does need to be disciplined, and we got to stop her from doing what she's doing. And then they show a united front, even though both of them really had a hard time, like, with their communication and other things. So it's like, it shows that the parents love their kids, that they also make mistakes, and it's okay that they made mistakes, because they work it out on whatever the problem is. And now I can't. There's a couple other ones where there's one where Bandit is playing too rough with Bingo. I think that one's Yoga Ball. I didn't put it on the list, but it's a really good one. And so Bingo, yeah, now I have to look it up, make sure it is Yoga Ball, because now I'm doubting myself. But like, so he's playing a little too rough with Bingo, but that level of rough or whatever play is okay for Bluey because she's bigger. And Bingo just feels really sad because she knows her dad was playing with her, but she didn't know how to tell him, like, hey, please stop. So, she goes and talks to her mom, and Chili's like, Bandit, Bingo needs to talk to you. And she's like, I'm sorry, like, you were playing a little too rough. And Bandit feels horrible because he didn't realize. But then they figure out, like, Bingo needs to come up with her, learn her big girl bark. So if something is too rough, she can bark. Because her little, it's so cute. But, then Bandit knows, okay, I'm playing too rough. Let's scale it back a little bit. So those parents, it's like, they're dogs, but they're portrayed as human. They are very human, and it's like, kind of makes you feel like, your parents, whatever, people have varying opinions on their parents, and that's not mine to tell anybody how they should and shouldn't feel. But it's like kind of this nice thing, like, look, your parents tried, even the ones from the 80s. They say Nana was kind of mean. It was the 80s. Moms were allowed to be mean.
Yeah. I enjoyed Seesaw. That was
yes.
with Pom Pom. Yes. And them all teaming up to get Bandit.
And it's like, oh, you know what Bandit was doing. He knew exactly what was going on, and what his whole shtick was. And she was pretty much in on it. She was here, have some sausages.
We're gonna make sure Pom Pom gets involved.
He gets to be the hero.
Oh, yes.
Let's see here.
What are some other ones? I know I've gushed about. So Rachel, it sounds like you watched a lot more than what I had put on the list, and that's awesome.
Well, I mean, I had been watching
Or you've been watching it.
the series just as is
Okay.
on Disney Plus. And it's, I obviously I'm coming into this after the fact because it was already on Disney Plus, but I can imagine at the time when people found out that Disney was buying the distribution rights,
Yep.
that people are like, "Oh my god, the House of Mouse is getting their hands on Bluey," but
it's just
the folks, the folks in charge, when Disney came to the table, was all like, "Yeah, you can put it on Disney Plus so that people have a way to stream it. You are not allowed to change a damn thing.
No.
It is going, the
nor
voices
should
are
they
going to
want
stay the
to.
same. All the references to anything and everything Australian are going to stay. Like, you're not going to Americanize it. It's like you're either taking the product as is or you don't get it at all. And Disney was like, that's fine.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, we've started using things like, "Are you being cheeky?" Like,
Yeah.
your cheekiness. Or Dunny. Dunny is one that Lottie loves because there's one episode where Chili tries to get the kids not to say Dunny because she thinks it's a little too crass, but she's like, well, my other friends say it and it's okay, and it's like, well, that's rules at their house. And then Lottie, well, she'll say it because she thinks I'm gonna get after her, which I kind of do in a sort of a tongue in cheek sort of way, just because that's what happens in the episode. So there's that. And then we were watching TV Shop today, and they're saying they're going to the chemist, and Lottie's like, "What's the chemist?" I'm like, "Oh, that's what they call the pharmacy." So and then she got it. So it's just, and then we have looked up on my the map on my phone. She's like, "Where's Australia?" So I have to show her on the map, and she gets so excited, like, "Wow, this is where Bluey's from." And I, like, because it's nighttime when it's bedtime, and so it shows nighttime on my phone, but it's daytime. And Australia's like, "Mommy, is it daytime or Bluey in Australia where Bluey lives?" I'm like, "Yep, it's daytime right now." She's like, it just kind of racks her mind a little bit.
Yeah.
And then explaining to her that, oh yeah, Christmas, because there's the episode about Christmas swim where it's summertime, because it's summertime in December down there, so they have a barbecue and they swim. They swim in the pool. So it's like, yeah, theirs is different. Theirs is opposite. Not backwards, opposite is what I was trying to say.
Yeah, there's still I still got a lot of episodes to watch. It's like, the thing is, like, when the show was originally picked up, they created just like a little 5-minute pilot, and it got picked up, and they're like, we want 52 episodes.
And they're like, well, okay then.
Yeah. And it takes them like 4 weeks, I think, from beginning to end to complete an episode.
Yeah.
With all the animation and the voice acting and the soundtrack and all the things. So
yeah, I mean, like I said, they're short, but yeah, they take a lot of time. Although I do find it funny. There is an interview with Dave McCormick and Melanie Zanetti, who those are the voices of Bandit and Chili. And
cool.
It is on one of our late night guys. Was it Jimmy? One of the Jimmys, I think.
Okay,
I can't
so
remember
Kimmel
now.
or
Fallon. I can't remember.
Fallon, yeah.
Because they were up here. There was it was like Thanksgiving a couple years ago. There was a Bluey balloon in the Macy's parade, and there was some other
that's right.
New York. And so they had those two up there, and it was the first time they had met in person.
Oh wow!
Because because it's just voice acting, and so they do their recording. And Melanie was saying, like, she goes, she's around the world a lot with acting and stuff like that. And her voice, she was only supposed to be a placeholder for the voice, but they thought that her voice was so maternal and she did such a good job that they're like, oh no, we want you to do it. We want you to do it, Chili. And
I could imagine somebody else doing her voice.
Oh, I know. It's like, that is perfect. And and so they do it just different, or different times. And then Dave McCormick, was the lead singer. I cannot remember the group, but there are videos of him and his band. He's a lead singer of this fairly famous Australian band, and you can find him like doing performances, and it's like Bandit is singing the lead for this rock group. I'm like, this is so awesome. And then I follow the official Bluey Instagram, and every once in a while you'll see Melanie or Dave or both even like showing up at things like there's a Bluey land or like a Bluey I don't know if it's a full amusement park or like part of an amusement park. I need to look a little further into it, but they were like, it's like this place where you can go and visit Bluey's house that they've built, and they've got the characters in costume and stuff like that, and it is so heartwarming to like see the creators, the actors, when they are in interviews and things, they just feel a stewardship over this show, and just like, hey, we want to make it a good and positive experience for the fans, whether they're kids, adults, parents, adults that don't have kids or things like that, because it's been such a good there's so much crap in entertainment and pop culture and things. There's just so much stuff that maybe isn't like really terrible, but it's like not great, or it's just kind of just churned out product, or doesn't really feel like there's any heart behind it. But then you get something like Bluey, and it's like, I get why this is resonating, and it's not just because of the lessons or the cuteness or the sweetness of it all. It's just like something that you can tell the creators really care about. There is heart and soul behind it, and it's people relate to it no matter where you're from, what your situation is, how you grew up, or any of those things. It's just like things are just, it's relatable, and I think people are just really, really into that right now. It's just something that feels real. I feel like, and that's why I'm like, I tell people, like, even if you do not have kids within a 10-mile radius of you that are any connection to you, just sitting down and watch it. It's
because I could see this as a parent. Yeah, you're putting it on the background, but if you're hearing them giggling or you kind of walk by, you almost want to sit down, and you get drawn in and engrossed as much as they do.
If I hear my kids watching Bluey, I'm like, which episode is it?
Yeah, I gotta know.
I want to see what's going on. I want to know, because there's just these great story arcs that don't feel like story arcs, but it's like, oh, I remember that bit. And that's why I love the sign so much. Like,
it ties into something from way. Yeah.
There's all these things that come back, and like I know they're kind of on hiatus right now because the studio's working on a different show or a different project. And they have said they're going to come back, but I'm like, if it ended here, if this is it, I think that's the perfect note to go out on.
Oh yeah.
It just, it fits. I mean, I'm not going to say no to more new Bluey episodes, but if this is all there is, you did it. You made like the perfect show, you guys. And all the props and accolades, because jeez, I can't say good enough about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing Frisky and Rad's kids.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, have a spin-off, or have a spin-off where Bluey is older and she's dealing with her own.
Yes.
I mean, we kind of get a little bit of a peek of that in, what was it, the surprise episode?
Surprise, yeah.
We get a little bit of a peek, but I wouldn't mind. You know,
Bluey in the future.
Yes.
I mean, a lot of people are a little weird, which we've established this, but they're like, "Ooh, who does Bluey end up with later in life?" And there's this whole thing because there's an episode called Barky Boats where Bluey, the kids kind of tease Bluey and Mackenzie about, "Ooh, you two like each other," and they're like, "No, we don't." And the little kid in that future flashback that is waiting for Bandit around the door with the not Nerf gun. It's like it looks like it could be a cross between a blue healer and a border collie.
Right, yeah.
Someone
It's like,
possibly.
is that one of Bluey's or is that one of Bingo's? Yeah, I could see Bingo living up to the cool aunt.
Yes, for sure. Oh, but it's so sweet. And then I also have to say I do love that they've kept the kids voice actors are like private. Like you don't know the names of those kids because you could imagine people just being nuts about being really nutty, inappropriate, crazy, and scarring these kids. So I I have nothing but respect for them for that choice. And I mean, I don't know of anybody who thinks otherwise, but if anybody does, like, get over it. But like, let the kids be kids, because a show about childhood and about good parenting and all these things. Just let them be kids.
Yeah.
And, let the adults
Which
promote the stuff. Yeah.
If they want to keep the same voice actors for the the younger characters, I mean, those kids are the human kids are going to grow up, their voices are going to change, so maybe when the show comes back we have skipped ahead a few years to better match the voices now.
Possible. That's possible. Like, I mean, they may have like recast more than like they may have recast a couple of times, because I think it started in 2018, so they might just. But who knows? I'm not going to speculate one way or the other. I'm like, yeah, the kids who do the acting, I mean, they do a really good job. Whoever they are, they're great, and and I'm sure when they're older and they're adults, they could come back and say, oh yeah, I voiced Bluey or I voiced Bingo back in the day, and then we could say, oh sweet. But I think as kids, let them have their childhoods, because
yeah, definitely let kids be kids, which is kind of a takeaway from the entire series, actually.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Let kids be kids. That's the only childhood they get. It's like the fortune that Bandit gets in his fortune cookie when he goes to go get takeaway. Like, they only get the one childhood. Let them have it.
Anyway, we could probably like what like I don't know. I feel like I've gushed. I've been talking a lot, and you guys have gotten to say. But anything else you guys want to say, or your favorite themes or characters or episodes?
I mean, what you had, I loved it as a whole. I want to go back and go through, watch the ones I missed, rewatch the ones that you had on the list to see what I can't get to go around. I mean, this is just, I mean, it's an awesome family series that that people of all ages can get something out of. It's that good.
And like I said, like, because I put down on my list just like, here's the ones that I really like. But then as I've watched, Lottie is like, I want to watch this episode, and not necessarily on my list. And I'm like, I should have put that on the list. Like, I didn't put down the show. I didn't put down onesies. I didn't do Barky Boats.
Which I know the show and onesies are both like highly acclaimed episodes.
Because one I had written down that I haven't watched but I thought looked interesting was Unicourse.
Oh yes, Unicourse. Oh gosh, you need to meet Unicourse.
Because I remember seeing the Unicourse in one of the other episodes, and I'm just like,
minis. He shows up in minisodes. He's a little puppet that Bandit operates, and he is the most obnoxious little twit, but he's hilarious. He is so funny. Let's see, Ragdoll's another good one. Family Meeting. Musical statues, you'll want to bawl your eyes out, but it's great. What else? Oh, Dirt. Dirt is the one that made me like Judo a little bit more than I had, because she's kind of a jerk in certain places. Cubby is a good one. I didn't put a lot from season 1. I'm not sure why, but season 1's got some good ones. Magic Xylophone. Shadowlands. Bob Bilby. Bob Bilby is a great one. Take away. Rachel mentioned butterflies. Oh, that's one where Bluey runs off with Judo to play, and Bingo kind of gets left out. Oh yeah, Yoga Ball is the one where Bandit is playing a little too rough with Bingo. The Claw. Blue Mountains is an interesting one. It's kind of mixed. That if there is a bad Bluey episode, it might be considered, that one might be considered it, but it's not awful. The Beach is great. Bumpy and the Wise Old Wolfhound is so sweet. It is so sweet. The
I think it's
Sleepover.
just
Oh,
great that there's like,
Mhm.
you know, good television. It's like
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's
people are all like, yeah, this is pretty good. And it's like,
yeah.
for the most part, everybody seems to like it.
Uh-huh.
I mean, and you have some people complaining about, kids television
Oh
or
yeah.
kids programming. It's just like, sorry, here, watch this.
Mm-hmm.
Argument invalid.
Mm-hmm.
Stumpfest is.
Because I mean, I wish we would have had Bluey back in our day instead of a certain purple dinosaur.
Oh,
Let's just put it that way.
yes, exactly. Bad Mood is a fun one. Granddad is another really sweet, heart jerking one. Christmas Swim is great. They're Rad and Frisky make a cameo in that one, and it's a really good one, a really good cameo. Duck Cake, that one is, oh, you feel for Bandit in that one. Helicopter's fun. I'm trying to. There's some other ones that kind of focus on the other kids in Bluey's class. What is the one? There's one where Bingo makes a new friend at Kindy. Her name's Leela, so she's like her best friend, and there's a bit at the end where they see like the girls growing up together, and they graduate high school, and it's like, oh, here's a grown up Bingo.
I mean, again, the episodes are so short. Just watch them all.
Just watch, seriously, just put it on and watch it, and watch them all the way through. You will. I mean, yeah, like it's listed. Most of them are like listed as 8 minutes, but again, that includes credits, end credits, and then the end where they say, "Oh, here are the voices that dubbed it in other languages." So
Right.
they're really like 6 minutes
And
long.
now, is it okay for you to skip intro? Because that's what I did. Because I'm assuming that the intro doesn't change.
Yeah, the intro's pretty much
all.
the same, where it's just the four of them dancing, and they go,
Yeah.
"Dad."
Right. That's
Oh,
kind of what I. Okay.
Bingo.
That's what I.
The only one I
figured.
would not skip the intro on is the episode called Bingo, because they do
Okay.
change it up in that one.
Okay. Good to know.
Because the episode's called Bingo, so Bluey gets out of musical statues first, and Bingo gets her moment in the sun. But I always love the title cards, because I mean, some of them are pretty standard, where it's Bluey just saying this episode of Bluey is called Bluey, whatever. But then once in a while they'll have another character. Like one of my favorites is Unicourse, because then it's Chili saying this episode of Bluey is unfortunately called Unicourse. So there are a few jokes sometimes with the title screens, but the intro is, other than Bingo, it's pretty much the same. But yeah, I just say watch them all, because I'm just scrolling down here. I'm like, oh, Charades. That's a fun one with Muffin and Socks at Nana's. And I'm actually looking at these. I'm like, there are some that I actually might not have seen at all. I'm like, I don't remember.
Probably
that
because the kids had you watching other ones on repeat.
That's true.
Exactly. It's like
we watch a lot of Dance Mode.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's a good episode. I would too.
Oh, but Born Yesterday, that's a funny Bandit one. Chess, that one's great. Bluey, Bandit teaches Bluey how to play chess, and
ooh, cool.
Him explaining to her how to play chess is Pass the Parcel.
I probably need Bandit to explain to me how to play chess, because I don't.
Exactly, me too. That might be my next one on my list to watch. How do I play chess? Okay, Bandit, explain it to me, please.
Yeah, Pass the Parcel's another fun one. It's more Lucky and Lucky's dad, which I always love when they call him, "Hi, Lucky's dad." He finally did get a name in the Deciders. His name is Pat.
Well, in the show, they tell their parent story. They're like, "What's your not mum name?"
Yeah,
like Chili.
And then of course the mini-sodes, pop those in. Those are great. I love the one, the blocks, which, speaking of cramming a lot into a very short amount of time, because it's like the girls go to Nana's on Sunday. They play with, they've like built up all these blocks, and they don't want them taken down till the next week when they come. So Nana and Bubba have to keep the blocks up all week,
and poor Grandpa, he can't watch footy.
Can't watch footy through the blocks and Nana like tapes off the living room. No one's going in there till the kids come, but I can't watch the footy.
We all have to make sacrifices, darling.
Yes. And again, mini-sodes. It's like,
I don't know. I don't Grandpa there. Keep me from watching footy.
Yeah.
We ride at dawn.
True.
Don't keep me from the footy.
It's like, can't we can rebuild it after the footy. Come on, just let me move these over this way, please.
Yeah. Just take some pictures.
Pretty much.
They'll never know.
Oh.
No, their kids will know.
Oh yeah. It's like, wait a minute, that color block should have been 2 over and to the right.
Oh, but did you move it?
Bitch,
no.
Maybe.
No. But no, good times. And definitely, if you're ever having a bad day, just pop in some tea. It won't fix everything, but it will certainly help.
Yeah. I mean, my other 2 favorites were Keepy Uppy and Obstacle Course.
Oh yes, Keepy Uppy is they're both great.
Yeah. It brings back memories of me playing my own version of Keepy Uppy with the balloons.
I never knew there was actually a name for that game.
Me either.
But now it's Keepy Uppy, and now
I'm like, perfect.
That was the funny thing. Last year we went to FanX. There were some kids over at KidCon, and they were bopping a balloon around. And Lottie's like, "Mommy, they're playing Keepy Uppy. Can I go play?" And so we went over there. She's like, "Can I play Keepy Uppy with you?" And they're like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "You all know what it means." That was great. And so there were some bigger kids too, so it was really they let a 4-year-old come play. Anyway.
It's a good bright spot in the madness that is the day to day.
Yep. It's just very simple stories that end up meaning a lot to people. So anyway. So, and we'll have some links, some articles and videos just talking about Bluey. But there's a lot of like YouTube channels or blogs and things. There's one that I really like. It's called Pugly. That's what he calls himself. And he's actually he's sort of a childhood therapist. And he analyzes the Bluey episodes from a perspective of a therapist or like a childhood development perspective. So it's really fascinating in some of his breakdowns of some of those. And then, and he really geeks out over it too. So it's like you kind of get the best of both worlds with that one. But we also have some links to some other cool Bluey adjacent content.
Yeah, because there's the actual like official Bluey like YouTube channel. And they've got like some behind the scenes stuff, like see how the show is made, that sort of thing. So
lots of interviews, lots of different things. Fan art galore, just, as with any fan art, just be careful. But there's some, and I love the ones that are like, well, here's the Bluey character, and here's the real life dog breed. They put them side by side, which can be a lot of fun.
Yeah. There's a lot of different breeds. They've yet to have a Welsh Corgi, though.
And I haven't seen a King Cavalier Charles Spaniel either.
Oh, then you need to watch Pirates, because that is
good.
Crap, what's her
I will
name?
jot that down.
There's a little she's a spaniel. I think she's a King Cavalier.
Okay.
But now
because I know we've had some Chihuahua. I think a few of the episodes had a Chihuahua in it, if memory serves.
I think so. And then there are some that are like in the background.
Yeah.
Gosh, that's gonna bug me. What? I'm gonna look up the name of the little spaniel that's in. Please hold. Your call is very important to us.
I'm so happy there's a Bluey wiki floating around somewhere.
Oh yes, there is a wiki. Okay, why are you not giving me what I want? I'm just glad I remembered the name of the episode. It's not Leela. That's the other little. Oh, there it is. That's the other. That's the girl from Missy. Missy is the name of the little spaniel.
Okay.
She's a
Aw.
little small. I think she's supposed to be Bingo's age, maybe a little younger. They're at
Okay.
the park playing, and
Cool.
Missy's a little nervous about playing their game.
Yeah, the Bluey Wiki's got all the list of the dog breeds that have ever
Oh, nice.
ever appeared. So
Sweet.
I'll put it in the show notes just for those that are like, I
Yay.
don't know what breed that's supposed to be, because some of them are very like breeds you will only find in Australia.
Yeah,
So
and some of them aren't immediately obvious just by looking
Yeah.
at them. But you,
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there are going to be ones that is a if you're in the U.S. you will recognize, like a Dalmatian. Yeah,
Right. Oh, yeah.
or
Poodles.
Coco, poodle.
Yeah.
Yep.
Also, I was
Dachshund.
Yep.
Dachshund. I was also going
Lord.
to mention the episode The Quiet Game. They're going to the store to get a birthday present for Muffin, and the girls are playing The Quiet Game and they won't talk. So Bandit is like trying to guess. Anyway, there's a clerk at the store, or like a kid who's like his first day working there. His name is Alfie. He is voiced by Robert Irwin, who is
Mhm.
the son of Steve Irwin.
Cool.
So there's a lot of like Australian celebrities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that show up
Oh,
in the
man. Wouldn't have that been something if Steve Irwin were still around and have him
Oh,
voice
he
the
would love it.
character on Bluey? Oh, he would
Yeah.
have been,
But no, his
awesome.
son is in it, and it's
Oh, cool.
and that episode is really great because because Alfie's like, it's his first day of work. He's really nervous. He's not, it's his first job. Like his mom drops him off at his first job, and he's just so earnest and so excited to help. And Bandit comes up, just grabs him and says, "Hey, like I need help finding this toy." And like, so Bingo and Bluey are doing the charades, and Alfie figures out what the toy is, and Bandit is like, he's like, "Oh, this is like," he like flags down a manager and say, "Hey, are you this kid's boss? You got the best employee here ever." And it's just it's great. It's like, hey, there's a customer who's not a complete ass. He's actually very grateful for helping out. So that episode's The Quiet Game. If you want to check it out, but it's a fun one. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I know there's some celebrities that want to make an appearance that they haven't had a chance to. Like Lin-Manuel Miranda really wants to be in an episode of Bluey.
Oh, he
Oh,
was in
that
one.
one?
Yeah.
He was in one?
Yes, he was in. It's called Stories. He
Ah,
actually
okay.
voices a horse,
Nice.
and his part. I think he like has 2 lines. That's
Yeah.
it. But it's Indy and Winton they're at school and they're like making up a story about a horse, and it's funny because Winton is like, "Make me muscly," because he's this little bulldog.
Yeah.
And they're like, because something about Indy was making a horse and it didn't look right. So there's just a real horse in there, and it speaks with Lin-Manuel Miranda's voice, and his name is Major Tom. So yeah, so Lin-Manuel Miranda has been in it. It's been a small part, but he is in one episode.
Yeah. I know some people have got their own like dream people. So some have, like Eva Mendes has also done it.
Yeah, she was like a video yoga instructor. Natalie
Yeah.
Portman voiced an in-universe whale documentary, and then there's some Australian celebrities that I am personally not familiar with, but people from Australia should know very well.
Yeah. Yeah. Because there's some famous Australians out there. You're like Hugh Jackman,
Mhm.
the Hemsworths, Nicole Kidman.
Oh yes.
Some people want the Wiggles in Bluey form because the Wiggles are another Australia.
I feel like
The Wiggles are like the last great like children's thing to come out of Australia.
before Bluey, yeah. But it's all good. I'm sure we could sit here for days and days talking about this. And if you guys want, we can do it again.
Oh, yes.
Or something if and when it comes back. But If any of our listeners want to chime in with their favorite Bluey episodes or Bluey-related topics, totally do. We'll read the feedback out on the website, on the podcast. I was getting ahead of myself. Words are hard. But our email address is fivishfangirls@gmail.com. You can also visit the website, which is thefivishfangirls.com. And you have links to we have show notes. We'll have links in there. You can leave comments or links to our social media pages where you can also leave comments, feedback. We'll read those out as well if you like. And we also have links to our YouTube and wherever you get podcasts, we're there. And you can also, if you want to support the podcast, feedback and listening is great. If you want to join our Patreon or check out our merch shop, all that goes right back into helping support the podcast and keep it online. And thank you, as always, for being our audience, being our listeners, and enjoying this crazy, wild curry quest, I guess.
Yes.
Don't look at the magpie, because it's going to steal your non.
Oh yeah, we can talk about merchandising.
Yes.
The extended universe stuff, the books, the video games, the stage show.
Oh yes. Oh, it must have been the stage show that they were up here for. Anyway, never mind. Carry on.
Supposedly, the Walt Disney Company is helping get in the works a full-length feature film. So.
Yeah, that's what I'm like. They went from 5-minute episode, then they did a half-hour-long episode with the sign, and so the next part is what a theatrical release.
That's the way it works.
All right, well, get on that, Brum family.
Yep.
They'll get there.
Yeah. Well, with that, then we shall sign off for this week, mate.
This is Brittany Mango saying goodnight.
This is Chrissy saying goodnight from Salt Lake City.
This is Holly from Wisconsin saying good evening.
This is Rachel, not from Australia. I'm so sorry, but it's gonna continue because I love you more than a duck loves bread. Thank you, our Fiveish fam, for joining us on this week's geeky journey. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. Stay connected with us on our website, thefivishfangirls.com, and follow us on most social media with @FivishFangirls. Plus, check out our nonprofit, Fangirls Give Back, to see how we're making a positive impact in our community. Until next time, stay nerdy and let the squee continue.
Morning, Wendy. Do you know I like to smack my bum as hard as I can?